Welcome to the Phantom Zone.
Welcome to And Now Comics. I am back, joined this time by John, Ryan, and Alan.
I truly feel... Oh, I thought you were going to do a bit thing, but never mind.
No, I'm not that awake. But yeah, we have a little bit of news to talk about. Some interesting stuff. So I guess the first thing is this Legion story that you posted, Alan. So they're adding Booster Gold to the Legion team. That is, I guess, I don't know Tommy Tomorrow, but it is interesting to see Booster Gold on this team.
I get the feeling that what this is they're taking all of kind of the feature characters, and that they're also doing short stories along with the Legion, Booster Gold not being specifically a part of the Legion, Kamandi, the Batman Beyond stuff.
Tommy Tomorrow.
Who I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I have no idea who that character is. You're a big Legion fan, so Alan, who's Tommy Tomorrow?
That's actually something I do not know, because...
Oh, wow. He must be mega deep cut then.
But yeah, these Jim Chung OMAC pages look really good.
Yeah. OMAC, I love that they're going with the old school design, kind of 70s, 60s design.
Dustin and Gwen's Batman Beyond pages look good. Andreas Sorrentino's Kamandi pages look great. And I'm not even a Kamandi guy.
Yeah, he kind of falls into that thing with the Savage Land that I'm not a super fan of, the Interworld stuff.
Kamandi and Savage Land are two separate things.
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, as a general idea.
Okay.
Kind of caveman in present day thing.
But it'd be kind of nice because the last 4 years has not been kind towards poor old Booster Gold, so it'd be kind of nice to see him be rehabilitated a little bit.
Well, not even the last year.
I mean,
he was just basically not even around during all of Rebirth, and then
Tom King's Booster Gold is not great.
All I remember is the Batman story. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But besides that, he was didn't do anything in Rebirth, and then the end of the New 52 was a little interesting when him and Blue Beetle were in the Justice League 3000 garbage feature.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of funny just to have those characters again, as the terrible buddy cop, even though that entire concept of that thing was terrible.
Okay, so I looked up Tommy Tomorrow. He's fucking very old.
I was gonna say, with a name like Tommy Tomorrow, I bet he's a 40s character.
Yeah, for 1947. He was in the Planeteers. It was
the Planeteers.
It was what the writers were that's what they assumed things that it was there. Everyone expects to think the 20th or 21st century to be big. That's what.
Okay, so to me, I'm kind of getting this sense that he's kind of what was that old terrible TV show? Buck Rogers of 21st and a half century. I always remember the Daffy Duck version. Yeah, that's what I thought too, Captain Planet. Well, they would have stolen the name because Tommy Tomorrow came out in 1947, so... I don't know, it's interesting. Did you see what his powers are, or anything like that?
He's basically just a space, sort of a space cop. Not the Green Lantern version, where he actually has he's simply just...
So he's Adam Strange?
I was going to say, so he's Adam Strange. Maybe there's a reason why. Maybe there's a reason why no one's used Tommy Tomorrow in the last 65 years, because it's we're not even using Adam Strange. Why would we use another space cop?
Here's the character biography. Tommy Tomorrow graduated from Spaceport West Point in 1988.
Oh,
Keep
God.
in mind, this is in the 40s. He's now a colonel in the Planeteers, police force in the 21st century. Gotham is the capital city of not only the Earth, but the solar system.
You know who he looks like, by the way? He looks like Ozymandias.
Yeah.
Like he's got the purple and gold, but he's wearing like jorts instead of like tights.
The last take on the character was Tomas Tomorrow in the Threshold series.
Oh, wow. I don't even know what that is.
It had to do with I want to say
Threshold presents The Hunted. This series sucks.
Yeah.
I remember when this was coming out, and I'm like, "Who's reading this book?"
I don't even remember, like, what years is that? Is that
2013. It was.
It's spun out. Go ahead.
It's spun out of Green Lantern New Guardians and like the annual.
Because I was reading like DC then, and I have no memory of this whatsoever. Wow. Okay.
It had like a Larfleeze backup, which I kind of remember being like the only thing that people like kind of cared about it.
It only went 8 issues, so that says a lot.
Yeah, I kind of remember there being a Larfleeze backup because he was sort of interesting of a character for a minute.
God,
and
like
then
this book,
he forgotten.
This book came out like also around the time they also did like the Ravagers, and there was like a couple other just really shitty teen books that of a bunch of nobodies.
Is this like just before New 52 or right after?
No, this is during like a year, like a year and a half in.
So was it? I'm guessing it's part of like the second round of books that came out.
It started in March of 2013, and did, like I said, only went 8 issues.
Yeah, because it must have been part of like the second round after they canceled a bunch of books.
Yeah, they canceled a bunch of books so they can make books like Ambush Bug and Threshold, Katana. Oh, okay. So yeah, they canceled a bunch of books, and this was a part of the next rung of books, which was Threshold, Justice League of America, Katana, Vibe, and Constantine. Which was like the really shitty Constantine that like no one liked.
Yeah, the only one of those books I remember. Well, I remember Vibe, and Vibe was terrible. Is like
I own Vibe, and I love the shit out of that book. I don't care what anyone says.
I like the stuff they did with the brother, but like a lot of the other stuff was kind of really goofy. I liked it more when he joined the other, like the Amanda Waller Anti-Justice League. But that Justice League of America book is the one with Adam Strange. Oh, who else is in it?
Are you talking about Justice League United? Like Justice League Canada?
Yeah.
Like
I think
Green
that's
Arrow,
that book.
Stargirl.
Yeah, what was there was like the Native American girl that was like a snow person.
I know
she
who
had snow powers. It wasn't ice. It was like...
Yeah, it was someone created just for that book by Jeff Lemire.
Yeah. And like every couple of issues, like Adam Strange and his wife would like swap places. Which was, his wife was like another character, or wasn't what's her name from Ron. It was like another Earthling.
Yeah, it was someone from Earth.
Oh god, it was so goofy. I don't know if Ryan Choi was on that team.
Okay. Are you talking about Equinox or Equinox?
Yes, that's what I was thinking of, Equinox, yeah.
Yeah, the team roster was Adam Strange, Alana Strange, Animal Man, Equinox, Green Arrow, Hawkman, Martian Manhunter, Mera, Stargirl, Supergirl, Poison Ivy, and Swamp Thing.
God, that's a team.
That team is like really powerful in many ways.
And it actually had a really good it debuted in April of 2014. The first issue was Jeff Lemire and Mike McCone. And like the base was in Ontario, which it's easy to tell because of Lemire's like involvement with the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were definitely some things about that was interesting. Wow, that's Supergirl and Stargirl.
Yeah.
So
There's actually really good, or sort of really good, across, like, I think it was the second one. I think the middle arc was a crossover with Legion, and like this, I think this was after the both books have been canceled. Legion Lost and Legion of Superheroes, and it eventually Jeff Lemire left, Mike McCollum left. Then it was just went into chaos.
The only thing I want out of like this new Legion reboot is like the problem I felt like with the New 52 was reboot of like Legion Lost and Legion of Superheroes was, you know, it was supposed to be like I don't know almost nothing about Legion of Superheroes outside of like the characters that showed up in the Versus system like card game. And so for me, I like as a new reader, I want to be introduced to like these characters, and then you read the New 52 like #1 issues, and it's like business as usual. It's like the book expects you to know this like huge cast of characters and their mythos and their relationships and all this other stuff. That's just like, oh, like this book isn't for me. And it's like if this book isn't for a new reader, then it's like, who is this book made for?
Yeah, what's that whole was it the Stan Lee thing of like every comic is like somebody's first? It's like,
Well, sure, but like
but
the
I
whole,
know what you mean. Like it doesn't
yeah.
even give you a chance. Like it was just
The
like
the whole point of the New 52 was supposed to like get new readers to check out these characters, and the Legion of Superheroes was writing a book for its already established fan base. So like I hope with Brian Michael Bendis like writing this book, it's like they start from like square one. It's like, who are these characters? Why are they important? And why should you be reading this?
yeah, based on like what we've. And this is gonna sound goofy, but like I wonder how handcuffed he's gonna be by like what's been going on with like Doomsday Clock, because they're kind of part of that. Because isn't Saturn Girl in it?
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
Isn't she in
Yeah.
Arkham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
No,
Brian Michael Bendis is handcuffed by anything. I think based off his success of Superman and Action Comics and getting people to read those books again,
and everything with Wonder Comics.
and everything with Wonder Comics, I feel like he's currently in the position that Jeff Johns was like 8 years ago, where they're like, okay, here's the toy box, go do wherever you want.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Speaking of Saturn Girl, last I remember, she was traveling with Johnny Thunder and some other like someone else trying to.
in Doomsday Clock.
Yeah,
God, and that's a character that DC tries to keep on making happen, Johnny Thunder, and it's just no one cares.
yeah. Wasn't there a version like a different like an alternate version of him in the Justice Society of America book by Johns?
It's like there's Johnny Thunder, and then there's like an alternate version of his power set that's like given to him through like a pin, right?
And there was that point when there was like a bunch of them that had the pens. Like I can't remember what book that was.
Yeah,
But
it's
there
just
was like a bunch of people that had like genies. Oh, it's a very like 30s idea. I feel like 30s and 40s kind of thing, where I feel like there's only a handful of those characters that still work today, like a Shazam, and like a lot of those characters just like don't really modernize well.
I was gonna say, the place DC was like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, compared to where they are now, even though they're not the whole or everything with the movies and everything. Thank God for Wonder Comics. I mean, I remember when Dial H was announced as part of the group or as part of the line. I remember everything. All I'd known about it was the New 52 version.
Oh, that version's terrible.
Yeah, and then there was the monstrosity that was Earth 2 Society.
All that New 52 Earth 2 stuff just got really dumb real fast.
like that Earth 2 book also just kind of like it didn't start off too bad, but yeah, it just I remember there was like some problems with people leaving the book or being fired off the book or and it was just like it lost like so much direction.
Yeah, well, the whole problem was like it started off and then they like killed the Earth, but then they like didn't kill it, and there's like still like 10 people around.
Actually,
and then it became this like post-apocalyptic book.
No, what happened was Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman get killed by
It's like the Anti-Monitor, isn't it?
no Steppenwolf,
Oh, okay.
and then like Alan Scott.
Wait, you mean Justice League villain Steppenwolf?
Yeah.
Yeah, but is it the one from like the old school comics where he has like the weird like Robin Hood hat? Or is it like the one that has like a longhorn antlers?
That one.
Oh.
And then like Alan Scott.
Yeah, he got the ring. Because that like I actually really like that idea they did where like they kind of flipped the whole green and like the red stuff in that book on its head. So like Alan Scott's like he's kind of like he's the avatar of the green.
And the avatar of the red. And the avatar of the red was
they were like elemental, but like because it was
all I remember was
a woman.
It was the second. There's Legacy second Wildcat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because then they made his husband was like the wind person, and then Solomon Grundy was like the avatar of the rot. Which I was like, oh, that's actually an interesting idea to like actually make that character, and then like he kind of became actually giving him some like sentience actually made him more annoying to me. I don't know. I kind of like dumb zombie Grundy.
And they just got rid of like I'm having bad Vietnam flashbacks to Convergence.
Yeah, they did a whole bunch of goofy shit. Because didn't Dick Grayson become Batman after he got his back destroyed by something?
Okay, so
and there was Batman's dad was still alive, and he was using like the metamorpho formula.
No,
Batman's dad is still alive.
No, that's a different version. That's the Flashpoint Batman's dad. There was like another Thomas Wayne in Earth 2.
Okay, so Thomas Wayne are Big Barda and Miracle, Mr. Miracle are looking for, like, they're looking for someone in Gotham, and the reveal is that Thomas Wayne faked his death. He was in with the mob. Bruce learns of this, doesn't want him anywhere near
his family and stuff.
Yeah, near his wife, his daughter.
Yeah, because in Earth 2, he's married to Catwoman, and Huntress is his daughter.
Yeah. And
she's Robin at the time, I guess.
Yeah, so he's there's like, they try to, like, this option was a bad character, and they have certain issues. They keep adding like he sort of like watched from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
And Dick Grayson, during the apocalyptic ending of the series, Barbara gets killed or gets shot.
Oh yes,
that they lose their
their kid gets like put on a train or something, and he loses them
on an escape ship. What?
Oh my god, I forgot all this.
It was they implied that Steppenwolf. They implied Steppenwolf had a quote unquote encounter with Wonder Woman that she didn't know about. That created a
wait, I don't remember that. They implied that Steppenwolf like raped Wonder Woman.
Oh, well, we can't say that. Can't say that. But
that's the implication, and they had a kid. I don't remember that.
That they had a kid that was half
Apocalyptan
and half Amazonian.
This sounds super incredibly dumb.
Yeah,
didn't
it was.
they reuse this idea kind of with Grail, where it's Darkseid's daughter with an Amazonian?
Yeah.
You can see this
Yeah.
was like this was about, and the thing is, like that character is who Dick Grayson's son on Earth 2, like that's who they looked like. That character, like Wonder Woman's daughter, was the one who, like, she was hiding out from like the female Furies,
Oh, okay.
and then she, like, he's hanging like during Convergence when they're they're going through different realities and stuff, or different timelines.
The battle planet that Marvel did in like the 60s.
So Batman gets killed by the Joker.
This is the Dick Grayson Batman or the Thomas Wayne one?
Or no, Thomas Wayne was Thomas.
There was,
Thomas Wayne was actually dying already because of the Hour Man.
yeah, that's what he had. Yeah, the hour, but it was like, didn't it have to do with Metamorpho or something? It was like
No.
the same thing, right?
I'm not sure, but I remember they tried to recapture Lightning in a Bottle with the Killing Joke moment with Joker and Barbara, but with Joker and Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
So Mr. Terrific makes him like sort of a support system.
Yeah,
Like-
he's got like an Iron Man-y kind of bat suit that like allows him to walk, like War Machine in Endgame and such.
Yeah.
In Infinity War.
So, like, and then the whole weird things that happened, and like he got kicked off the book. Dan Abnett took over, and this is like leading up. This is like a few weeks, like months before Rebirth.
Yeah, because basically Rebirth is just like, no, we're not going to talk about any of that, and Earth 2 is just like ignored completely now.
Yeah, and like they were doing some weird things. Like Our Man came back, and he was angry that Thomas Wayne stole his formula. Then they brought in the Ultra Humanite.
Oh god. Oh wow, that's a character I haven't seen in the comics. And that's like their fourth talking gorilla bad guy.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's going on here?
I mean, like, I think Ultra Humanite's a solid 2.
Oh,
Or
I almost
okay.
forgot.
no, he's a solid 3 because I would put him above or below Monsieur Malad and obviously Grodd.
Well, I guess it depends on like. I'm trying to think. It's Grodd, him, Mala. There's another one, right?
There's like a crime ape, like he's like
Yes.
like
I was. Sometimes Solovar is kind of an antagonist too. But yeah, he's definitely like 3. He's above the guy we can't remember his name.
Congrilla?
no, he was like a villain in a Batman Brave and the Bold episode. Gorilla Boss.
Oh,
He's like a gorilla who
Crime
like
boss?
wears crime boss who wears like
a suit.
a suit.
Think of Kingpin with as a gorilla.
Oh my god! So he's like what they sometimes did with Tobias Whale.
Yes. That's like the best. That's the best thing you can like describe it as.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, there are so many apes in DC Comics.
That's not to mention even like Detective Chimp.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There's like a whole world of talking apes. Well, there is a legitimate like city of talking apes. I mean, like
That's DC though. Yeah.
Well, actually,
I think that's all Planet of the Apes like character ripoffs, like of like that era that all these characters were probably created around.
there was an issue of Astro City a few, like 5 years ago, where Kurt Busiek introduced a I basically ripped off Gorilla City.
Oh, I just remembered another one. There was one, and in the Nightwing book, in the Rebirth, when he went to Bloodhaven and he was trying to be like a
The
like a
Batman,
half-
or
no,
like,
when he was doing
the
like the
hero of
halfway
Bloodhaven.
house thing with like the pigeon character, and there was like a bunch of like F-list villains that were trying to reform. Like Orca was there, and there was a gorilla in that group because it was like not Gadget. What's the one that's in the Titans, like the cartoon Teen Titans? That's like the kid that has all the gear.
Gizmo.
Gizmo was part of it. There was like a girl who had like a pet mouse, and then there was a giant gorilla, and then there was like a cowboy guy. And they were like all like villains that no one cared about anymore.
The only reason I'm bringing up the Astro City gorilla, it's like a total ripoff of Gorilla City. They're all military, but he just wants to play. He just wants to be in a drummer in a band. That's all. That's what he wants to do. He
wants to be Jabberjaw.
He just wants to like be a drummer and be in a band, and like the heroes come to him and like, do you want to join us? And like, and he's it's just so goofy. It's so fun. It's goofy that it's fun.
Well, I think we've run our course on this because I actually do really want to talk about the next thing, which is this Superman smashes the Klan. So we've gotten a couple of art pieces, but the story behind this, now this is a comic that is, there's no date on it, but it's coming out.
It's October.
Okay. The story I was looking at, October 16th. Okay. Each issue is going to be 80 pages.
It's one issue, and it's 80 pages.
Okay, because the thing I'm seeing here is like Superman Smash the Klan. It's October 16th with each issue containing 80 pages.
Oh.
Yes. So I think that what they're doing, because why this is really interesting, is it's kind of the reverse of what's been going on with comics and podcasts, where like they're taking podcasts and making using podcasts as kind of like a new version of a radio play. We've had I think the second Wolverine is still going, right?
I think it just came out.
Yeah, because I'm waiting for it to be done, and then we're just gonna like blow through the whole thing. But we had the Wolverine one, and then there's like another Marvel one. I think DC said that they're doing a couple too. I don't remember. I'm sure we talked about them. This is the opposite, where they're taking an actual script from the
Superman radio.
Yeah, the Superman radio play. So I guess the story was published in 1938, but was broadcast in 46. I guess those were the years that it was on, 38 to 46. So I guess that they're going to keep doing this thing. And so like the idea of it was like they were going to use this story to like kind of show like real world and specifically like racism and stuff at the time, which is kind of a bold idea, especially because like the story revolves around like two Chinese characters moving to Chinatown in Metropolis. And then kind of like the racism and all the injustice that they interact with. And the art is really interesting. I actually really, really dig it. I guess they changed Perry White's going to be black. There's the Asian couple I already talked about. And then there's an image of Jimmy and Lois.
Yeah, so this is written by Gene Liun Yang, who he's like an Eisner Award winner. He wrote some books a couple years ago, like American Born Chinese, that got like a lot of traction in the indie comics market. But he was writing Superman for the New 52 when oh my god, who's John Romita Jr. was drawing it.
Oh, okay.
And I remember that run being like not so bad. But the thing, like, he also wrote New Superman, which was the Chinese Superman book that
got canceled before its time.
Yeah, I heard good things.
He's an interesting character. I just think they could have marketed it better. Like
there were also just
the book was also not good.
It was also like at a time where I'm just like not reading Superman. There's too many Superman books. It's just like it's like kind of like the problem with Spider-Man where I'm like there's too many Spider-Man books right now.
I see here he's also been writing the Terrifics, which is like the DC goofy Fantastic Four with Mr. Terrific, Plastic Man. I'm trying to remember who else is on that team.
No, it's Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho.
They have Metamorpho
Plastic
and
Man-
Plastic Man. I know Plastic Man is on the team because like he's like on.
That's the only thing I know about that book is Plastic Man's on it.
Yeah, because like every cover is like him doing crazy Plastic Man stuff. I'm pulling it up.
But the artist for the book is Girihiryu, who's like this duo of Japanese artists who people would know them from The Unstoppable Wasp. That I believe, if it hasn't ended, it's recently ending. Super good. They also did the first rung of Avatar: Last Airbender comics for Dark Horse a couple of years ago. Like, Girihiryu is so good. Like, they also did a lot of Gwen-pool. But yeah, they're great. I think, and I probably have definitely said this on the show at some point, but I believe that Girihiryu is like a top 10 artist in the American comics industry. I feel like they should be on like some A+ books, and to be put on a book like this that's getting like, you know, really good headlines, this really great message. Like, I called my shop, or I sent a Facebook message to my shop today where I want this book. Hopefully, like, this is like a really good book for them to like basically put in, like, you know, put their name out there more.
From what I'm reading, it's going to fit into like that kind of Wonder Comics genre, like level. Like, it's kind of like a tween book.
Yeah, and I think it's like also like kind of nice to see like a Chinese writer, a Japanese artist tackling a book where Superman, who is like an immigrant to the Earth, like fighting like oppression. Like, I think that's like a really great, like, I think it's like if DC was going to put together a team for this book, I think that's a great team.
Yeah, so it's based on the original show's name was Clan of the Fiery Cross. They do have a description out. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But it's like a family of 4 moves to Metropolis. We're mostly following the 2 kids. So yeah, I guess maybe this is the first, though it seems like this is the first issue. Maybe they'll do more of this, like, kind of like.
Yeah, it might be like a seasonal thing too.
It would be interesting to see, like, if they do more of these and get specific, like, pair, like, artist and writer to kind of do these, but, like, stay in this specific universe.
Mm-hmm. Like adapting old radio dramas.
Yes, but, like, specifically get people that fit the story specifically. Like you said, how it's a Chinese writer and a Japanese artist doing this one. If there are other stories similar, like, that have kind of similar slants to them to kind of do the same thing and work like a creative team around that, but keep it in the same kind of universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if they did, because this is, the symbol has, like, the DC, was that Zoom? That's, like, the new...
Oh, yeah, DC Zoom's gone.
Yeah, so it's going to be whatever part of that, like, whatever Wonder Comics falls into. Which I don't even know. We don't know. Oh, and the Terrifics, it was Metamorphose their thing, and then their Invisible Woman is Phantom Girl. So that is the team. Mrs. Terrific, Phantom Girl, Metamorpho, and Plastic Man. Which I feel like having Metamorpho and Plastic Man pretty much makes your team the most annoying and the most unkillable.
Also, for people who kind of like want to see, like, because, you know, this being based off of a real radio drama that happened, while also the people who are writing it had agents within the KKK who, like, basically took lingo that was being used by them at the time and putting it into their radio drama. There is a Drunk History episode all about it.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
about this specific, like this Superman kind of thing.
Yeah, like no, like this
Oh.
was I forget the stat off the top of my head, but like there's like a correlation between like this radio drama coming out and the amount of people who were involved in the KKK going down.
Wow, that would be like a really interesting like book or documentary.
And that's why like representation within your media is important, and also like hey, also comics are never political. Am I right?
I know. I hate when people say that when it's like, hey, remember like what is the most famous like Green Lantern and or Green Arrow book? Oh yeah, it's when they discuss drugs. When fucking Speedy has a heroin needle. That wasn't
when Speedy
political.
is on speed.
Yeah.
Can I just mention who the sponsor was of this original story?
Yeah.
Kellogg's.
Was it Kellogg's?
Yeah, Kellogg's Pop Cereal.
I thought it was going to be
Or Kellogg's Pop Cereal.
I thought it was going to be Winston cigarettes.
That would have been perfect. But yeah, I think it's kind of like this is a good point to flip over and talk about the other big company. So I guess sales date for the year so far, we're like 6 months into the year, have come out, and Marvel owns just over, 100% over the total marketplace for 2019.
I believe this is only for May 20.
Oh, it was only for May? I thought it was for all of 20. Okay, only for May. Okay, so ignore those other things I said. So, okay, that's not as big as I thought it was then, but still it is interesting.
Having half the marketplace is pretty huge.
Yeah. I wonder how much Endgame drove like new readers to Marvel, or if it says that, or if it says more about what is going on at DC. So they had 33. They had about a third of the marketplace. So I don't know if that says like that about DC, or just like how well Marvel is using its other media to market its comic books at this point.
I mean, Immortal Hulk is on like in its 20s issues, and it's still like a top 5 book in the industry right now. Amazing Spider-Man's still selling well. I guess Daredevil is selling like really well. Like Venom is selling really well. Like
Venom had, it's like DC's only books that have been selling well is like 2 Batman books. It's like Detective and Batman Who Laughs.
I guess like Deceased might be like selling pretty well too. But like I'm looking at like the like Naomi is getting like a lot of people hopping on that book, but that's also like around the time like this the speculators were jumping onto that book.
It is in this article. It says actually this is the most units sold since November last year. Was in this May that passed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I mean like also like Shazam was just coming out like around this time too, like late April. So it could also just be you had like a really good DC comic movie. You had a really good you had a fine Marvel movie that made $1 billion also come out. You had Free Comic Book Day was also that month, and that if you're a good comic book store, like you get a ton of people coming into your store because of that event. War Realms also ended up being
this article is talking a lot about War Realms being a big thing for Marvel,
which is that event ended up being pretty good. So
yeah, I think it also helps like having like especially in Endgame and what we saw with Ragnarok, like specifically like the movie version of Thor, like being so beloved. Everything kind of helps move more people to it as well. So it is an interesting thing. Like, Image was number 3 with like a little over 5% of the marketplace. So.
Image is always number 3.
Yeah,
like your number 1 and number 2s are always going to like be Marvel and DC, and Image is always going to be number 3. It's everything under that. Like Dark Horse is always going to be 4. I think for the most part, and then you have like everyone else that's like always trading back and forth of where they're at.
Yeah, I'm trying to look and see who was after that. Like I can't.
It's like other publishers, which is basically just like everyone who's not, the
Oh.
Dark Horse, IDW, Dynamite, and Boom, and then like you have I guess IDW.
Okay, I have the
And
list
then-
where it shows the number one book was Naomi.
Well, no, the number one seller for the month was DC's.
Yeah, which was Naomi.
No, DC's.
Oh, DC's. Oh, I'm looking at the chart. It has Naomi as the top.
Well, Naomi is the book that gained the most more users. Like more people hopped onto Naomi. Like Naomi had like more people jump onto that book.
Yeah, I see what it says now. It's for a continuing series. So
yeah.
DC's didn't count as that at the time because I think that was like issue 1, maybe.
Yeah, they don't have like really them all put together, but it's like, like DC's is like number one book. Batman Last Night on Earth like had half of that number. Like DC's had 250,000 people hopped onto that book, or like 243,000 people hopped onto that book. I don't want to be like more correct, but it's like 243 issues were ordered by comic book stores for DC's. I do not see like why people would have worn that book so heavily. It's like I guess like the cover, like the alternate covers were like also like pretty good. So like
some of them were the horror themed one, like the horror movie esque ones, like poster ones were awesome looking.
Yeah, but
like,
I don't see.
They're hard to find.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't see like here are the top 10 books for the month. I imagine if I went to like a different site, I could probably.
All right, so let's go.
But yeah, this is like if you want like hardcore data, like here you go. But like also keep in mind that this is data specifically through Diamond direct market. Like this does not count sales through digital.
All right, so let's jump to our last kind of news story. So this is kind of interesting. I'm trying to think. I know Jen.
I have like 4 other stories here.
Okay.
Because I posted some the other day.
Okay, I didn't know if those are from the other show or not.
No, these are from this week.
Okay, so let's do this one and then we'll jump to those. So, you're old enough. Did you watch at all the live action TMNT show from the 90s?
Yeah,
okay.
the last mutation? Yes.
Yes. So I bring that up because in the comics, they have now introduced their first female turtle. And we had one in the show. Do you remember her name offhand? I do.
Venus de Milo.
Yes. So in this, I don't remember how they explain her creation in the TV show. Here it's interesting.
In the TV show, she's like their long lost sister. Like she got
like washed away, right, or something.
Yeah. So like when like the turtles get like their ooze bath, like she's there. She's been there the entire time, but like because they're baby turtles, so you don't remember. But like she ends up being like washed away, and then she shows back up for like the next mutation.
Yep, where they don't have shells.
No, they do. She just like, but it's basically like
I'm thinking of the Out of the Shell, the stage show where they didn't have shells.
No, they. Are you talking about coming out of their shells?
Yes. Where they have like a wrap.
Okay, so side tangent. For Record Store Day this year, they had a mini record of 2 songs from the Coming Out of the Shell tour that you can buy at record stores, and I bought it.
Oh, awesome.
On one side, it has Pizza Power, which was like the song that if you go and play TMNT Turtles in Time, the arcade,
yes.
It's a song that starts off the arcade. And then the other, I forget what the song on the other side is, because why am I going to listen to another song? I'm just going to listen to Pizza Power.
I feel like it's not the theme song from the cartoon.
it's not.
Okay. But let's to the comic. So this character is created kind of like in a She-Hulk version. I would say is like the best way to explain this based on what I'm reading. So it's a Foot Clan member, and they do a blood transfusion with Donatello. Oh, Donatello did it using Leonardo's blood, and thus she turns into a turtle. So she is not a mutated turtle. She is a human mutated into a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, which comic
And she's an
science-
adult.
Yeah. So she looks badass. So she has like the yellow. Her color is yellow. It appears, and her weapon is like a ninja claw.
Yeah,
is
so
awesome.
yeah, so she was also designed by Sophia Campbell, who I've been like kind of like jonesing to read the current IDW TMNT comic, mainly because of Sophia Campbell. Like I love her Turtles artwork. I think it's like just kind of perfect for, you know, like personally like what I would want out of Turtles artwork. You know, unless like you're going to go like something like Rise of the TMNT, where you're just going to go like super like street art level, like jagged edge, like we're going to go like super bombastic with the artwork. But yeah, like I think Sophia Campbell's great. I think her new design for the new Turtles' name is Jenica. I think she looks super cool. Like I kind of want.
I like her design better than I like the other 4 turtles. Really.
Well, the image at the top of this page is like basically not Sophia Campbell's artwork, but like you get the same kind of basic design of like what like the Turtles design in the book do not stray too far from like what I would consider classic Turtles design.
Yeah, because like I love the way this head design is. It's like a weird thing to point out, but like with the turtles, it's kind of important because they kind of. That's like one of the things that they vary. It is interesting, like in this image, to see like, unlike the Venus de Milo version, she looks almost identical to the other turtles. Like she has no. I'm dancing around like female characteristics. Like the live action version had turtle boobs, if I remember correctly.
Which I mean, sure. I feel like her design is like not great in the in that series. But like the idea that ever since then they were like, we can't have a female turtle. It was like because of like, well, because like Venus de Milo sucks so much. I'm like, well,
That
sure,
show sucks so much.
but like, yeah, that whole show sucks. It's like the same reasoning where it's like we can't have female superhero films because Supergirl and Catwoman were so bad. And I'm like, well, you didn't even try.
Well, yeah, and the Supergirl thing is like a whole nother thing because that was done by a company in order to, what do you call it? As like a cover for their drug trade, is what I believe with canon films. Oh god, yeah, turtle boobs.
I love. I think it's like kind of funny that her mask is like okay, so like her turtle color is like no really different than Leonardo.
I guess it's supposed to be like baby blue.
It's like a lighter shade of blue, but like the way you differentiate the two is that her like the straps on the back of her mask are made into a braid.
Oh man, I did not know that they made a toy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I imagine they had a wave of toys for
I'm
this
trying to remember what her weapon is. Based on this toy, it was a fan?
Yep, it was fan because that's like the go-to female weapon.
Yeah.
Katana.
Well, I was gonna say staff, but Dawn already had a staff, so they're like, "Oh, what's the other thing?" It's like, "Oh, fans." God,
So,
and this is like TMNT 3 costumes that they were using for this show.
Oh,
what it
yes.
looks. That's why,
Well,
like,
it's a combo. It's like the TMNT 3 plus some other, like, they're
coming out of their shells costumes.
Yeah, because like here's a picture. Like Donatello has the weird full face cover.
God, these costumes are awful.
Yeah. They were terrible. Well, because the whole thing is the costumes in the first two movies are the same costumes, but they almost killed the actors.
Yeah.
So that's why they redesigned them. So that's why if you look, like, especially Venus is like kind of form fitting to like a human actor. So it's like this gigantic head on this like kind of small, like kind of with slightly larger body, with then a giant shell on the back. That show was really bad. I guess they have referenced her in like some of the cartoons over the years. I'm looking at
yeah, I think they have. I think there was like a reference to her in the first Nickelodeon TMNT
Is that
show.
the CGI one?
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
good.
that's what I'm looking at. It's like a reference. They like named the van, and it has like Venus on it.
Yeah. I think it's like one of those things where they do like reference her like every once in a while, but like not as a character, but as basically like an Easter egg.
Yeah, it's like an inside joke. All right. So, what was some of the other stories that you had?
I had one. Oh, sorry. Marvel announced they're bringing back Marvel Zombies for this fall.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. But I mean, like last week we were just all like, does anyone care? And we were all just like, not really.
Because they did it good, and like this version, I don't know if any of you said it. It looks like the Pirates of the Caribbean like sea monster thing they did with Davy Jones.
Yeah, the Kraken.
Yeah, it's like barnacle people. And Iron Fist is in the front of this. I guess that's who that is. I don't know. I don't care. Is this like a thing because Deceased is happening? But like, I don't know.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do, you do. That's cool. So DC announced that they're bringing back John Constantine under the Hellblazer name under Sandman Universe.
Oh. Well.
So the full title. So full title: The Sandman Universe presents Hellblazer.
And then it'll soon be DC Black Label presents Neil Gaiman Sandman Universe.
Well, like, and it kind of makes me wonder if like Sandman is basically taking over the, it's like
Vertigo.
The Vertigo centric stuff of like Hellblazer. Like if they were to announce like a new Swamp Thing book, if that's like Sandman Universe presents Swamp Thing.
Well, this is what I was going to say is like, sorry. What do you call it? Sandman has appeared, I think, in one or two issues of the DC mainline. And they have also referenced the DC mainline in one or two issues of the books in the Sandman universe.
Currently?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't remember what book. It was like in Rebirth that Batman was doing something. Oh, it was during Dark Knight's Metal. He like invokes and like the Matthew version, like the newer one, like shows up and like helps him in like a moment when he's like being tortured in like a dream world. And he like yells like, "You owe me a favor, Matthew," and he like that's how he pops out of it. So, but it's like very, very. It's like the same as like the Netflix and the MCU. Like it's so very lightly referenced as like existing. So they can still dance with like this character being the same John Constantine that's been in the Justice League Dark, or it could be not. Who knows?
Because I mean, like if you're looking at the cover, it's like him holding up some tarot cards and lighting a cigarette on like one of the cards, and you see the magician who's like the character from the books of magic. There is a Lucifer card for the devil, and then there's the Empress and the Hierophant. I assume the Hierophant is supposed to be whatever incarnation of Sandman currently, like the all white one.
Yeah, that is the Matthew one.
I do
he
not.
hasn't really been. So I've been reading the Sandman Universe books. So yeah, it's Book of Magic, Lucifer. The other one is for the.
Is it Madame Xanadu?
No, it is a New Orleans like goddess.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember her name. It's actually been really interesting. It's like a lot of those like West African like gods.
Who was it? Calypso?
No, because I know like they have Anansis in the book. So it's like that. It's like all the characters are black, and it's like very like they're in like the real world part of it takes place in New Orleans. So but they end up getting trapped in the dreaming. Like, and I can't remember the main character's name, the main goddess's name. Yuzuro, something like that. She's like a goddess who has like it's like three sisters in one body. I'm butchering what this is about. I'm trying to remember because it's Books of Magic, Lucifer, The Dreaming, and I can't remember what the other book is that's in this. So, but I've really liked the series. Book of Magic has been specific. Lucifer has been really good, and so has The Dreaming. But Book of Magic's been good. The other book's been really pretty good too.
So yeah, I guess this is supposed to be a one shot coming out on October 30th with writer Simon Spurrier, who I know is predominantly as a X-Men writer. He did X-Men Legacy with that book was with Legion and Blindfold hanging out. I remember, really liking that. And he also did the God Shaper a couple of years ago. That was kind of a hot book with art by Marcio Takara, who was the artist for the Wolverine: The Long Night adaptation. But yeah, I guess like this is supposed to follow with a new ongoing in November that will be from Spurrier with artist Aaron Campbell, who did Infidel last year. The one shot will start moments foreseen in Sandman Masterminds, Neil Gaiman's miniseries, The Book of Magic. In this moment, John Constantine is haggard, bloody, and dying during an epic magical war that's fixing to consume the entire world. In that moment, a vision of Books of Magic protagonist Tim Hunter stands above Constantine, contemplating his own destiny. Hunter flees, leaving Constantine there to die. The story picks up years later with Constantine re-emerge unaged, but with all the memories of the grisly future intact. He has to process a new world that is beset by the same politics and social woes. He also must unravel the mysteries of his return. Meanwhile, rumors of a young magician, Tim Hunter, swirl around him, leaving Constantine to wonder if he can stop that vision of his doomed future.
Okay, that is so. I've been reading the Book of Magic. One of the things that they got revealed, I think a month or two ago, was that Tim had his mind wiped of like some memories, and he's kind of like, "What do you mean I had my mind wiped?" And they're like, he's talking to the person who's like teaching him, and she's like, "Yeah, there was some things, and you're kind of this huge character, like person, and if you go good or evil, like it's going to turn the entire tides of magic. So you kind of did something, so we just kind of wiped you so that like it wouldn't affect you." And I wonder if that's going to tie into the Constantine thing, because he gets like a quick memory, and it's just him covered in blood. Oh, and the goddess, I looked it up. It's Iruzli. I don't know how to pronounce this. But I'm trying to think. What was the other story? Is it this? You have a Fantastic Four story and another X-Men story here.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So it has people been checking out Ed Pisker's X-Men Grand Design?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, so
wait, I remember we talked about this. I remember hearing about this. I have not read anything.
So for people who don't know about Ed Pisker's X-Men Grand Design, Ed Pisker is this really cool artist / writer. He is predominantly known before doing a series for Fantagraphics called Hip Hop Family Tree, which was basically like chronologically went through the history of hip hop music and was basically, it's like, hey, do you want like a college course on hip hop music? Here you go. And he ended up taking like that kind of same basic design of his books and applied it to X-Men. So it's like, if you're like an X-Men reader and you want to get into X-Men, but you don't want to read like 40 years of X-Men history, X-Men Grand Design is basically like an semi-inexpensive way to basically read all of X-Men, understand all the core themes, the character motivations, all the storylines within like a digestible way. So one of the things about X-Men Grand Design, I was like, man, like this is like really good, and like this is like a great way for people to get into X-Men. I really kind of wish they would like take like this version of the comic and then apply it to other things. Like I could see a Legion of Superheroes like Grand Design, or them doing Fantastic Four as a Grand Design, and oh, go ahead.
I was just saying they could do it for like almost every DC book, like a Superman, Batman, or Justice League.
So the idea of like the grand designs like is that is very good. Is it takes, because I think Batman is like fairly straightforward. Superman is fairly straightforward. Like Legion has like a lot of folds. X-Men has a lot of things that go on with it. So it's like it's kind of hard to kind of figure out like where to go. Like you're a dog chasing a car. And these kind of break it down in a very digestible way. So Marvel announced that Tom Scioli, artist of Godland, Transformers vs. G.I. Joe, really good illustrator, is basically gonna do a Fantastic Four Grand Design. And I'm like very excited for this. Fantastic Four is like kind of one of those properties that I know enough about to kind of glide right through, but I don't know enough about like the bones of the book. So a book like this, I feel like to me is like a college crash course in like this property. So like I'm personally very excited to read Fantastic Four Grand Design.
Oh, I'm looking at his thing. Did you read what these panels are for this thing?
I did not, because I basically just saw like, oh hey, this guy's doing this thing, and I was like immediately like, I don't need to read anything else. I'm gonna pick it up.
Oh, this like pitch is real interesting. So he posted like a couple of panels. It's 4 astronauts walking to a rocket, and it's like all this stuff, and it's like showing, and you see like the universal entity, and they're like doing this to kind of like, and this is all like very roughly drawn and stuff, and they're going into space. They get hit by cosmic rays and they crash, and you see Uatu there. And this is not the origin of the Fantastic Four. This is the origin of Galactus.
Yeah.
And it actually
That's really good.
Uatu kind of like, he's walking away and turns around and then saves the surviving being and turns him into Galactus, kind of in order to save his life. It is really, and I actually kind of like the art style that he does. Like I like how it's like very 70s.
Well, yeah. So Tom Scioli, he basically does what you would think Jack Kirby artwork would look like now.
Yeah. Oh man, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, when I say 70s, that's what I mean. It's just Jack Kirby stuff, but like it's perfect for Fantastic Four.
It's like the character designs, the colors, the way that he does like sound effects. It's like what you think. Like I in my Amazon wish list, like I have his Transformers vs. G.I. Joe book like on my wish list, and I've been like thinking about buying it for like a while now, and that book looks just so rad. It looks so good.
Yeah, like this looks real I'm trying to figure out a way to like put this in the chat.
Like,
Twitter's
my
confusing.
my old boss, he was reading Godland, and he would always talk to me about. He'd be like, John, this book is like incredible, but like I couldn't tell you anything that's happening in this book.
Well, that's kind of sometimes the stuff I love the most. It's like King's Mr. Miracle is kind of like that at times.
Yeah, like there was like something about Godland though. It's like where it gets like very I don't think the word's like metaphysical, but it gets like very like it talks above your head sometimes. Because it's like also written by Joe Casey, and I love Joe Casey, but Joe Casey's like kind of impenetrable at times, but like that's kind of the charm in a way that like when I'm reading Neil Gaiman, it's kind of impenetrable at times, but I don't feel like I'm enjoying this at all. But Joe Casey, I feel like the fun is like trying to figure out like what he's talking about.
Okay, I get that with Neil Gaiman sometimes. There's definitely parts of like the Sandman books, especially that I'm like, it's why I've like never completely finished reading it. I'm always like halfway because there's like a certain point where I'm like my brain hurts. Like I'm not enjoying myself, and I have to take a break, and that break is like 2 years. Although like Gaiman's like one of my favorite like writers. Like I have a bunch of his stuff behind me. All the newer stuff though that he's been doing is actually not like that. But yeah, this is actually. I would love to see his like doing this pitch for this book. It is. It's like 4 pages that he posted, and just that looks amazing. Like I'm way into it. I see you had like one more story here.
Yeah, so today, Giant Size Ecstatics came out, which is Ecstatics is like one of my favorite X-Men books of all time, if not like one of my favorite books of all time. The Ecstatics originally launched, coming out as a X-Force book, like it was X-Force number 115. This was like around the time where Marvel had this big, huge push where they were like, we're gonna get like top level independent creators doing our books. They're like, we're gonna get the Preacher team to do Punisher. We're gonna get Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely to re-envision X-Men with new X-Men. And one of the other ones was we're gonna get Peter Milligan, known for Shade the Changing Man at the time, and Michael Allred, known for Madman, to basically do like a new like X-Men book, but centered in the X-Force book. And it was like a take on reality TV in 2001. So the book was about mutants who were TV stars and like reality, like specifically like reality TV stars, who were like inexperienced as a team, were divas, going out into dangerous situations for ratings, and they would like a member would die, and so
Sounds
it's like
what was the thing that they did that led to Civil War? It's like exactly the
New
setup of
Warriors.
that.
Oh
New
yeah,
Warriors.
so like that New Warriors book is basically, man, because people forget like how good that New Warriors book was, like leading into Civil War, and then Civil War happens and basically just kind of takes a giant shit on that book. But that book is like really good. I think it just recently went into a collection. It's super fun. But basically, that's like a fun version of that take. While the first issue, like the entire team dies except for a character named Yugo Girl, a character named the Anarchist, and Duke. And if there's like one character that everyone knows from the Ecstatics, it's going to be Duke, who's like that green blobby character.
Yeah, he looks like Slimer, kind of.
Yes. So the Ecstatics happens. I think there's like 15 issues of them as X-Force, and then there's about 35 issues of it as just like the normal Ecstatics book, all done by Milligan, all done by Michael Allred. But then they also had like guest artists with like Darwin Cook did a story. Philip Bond did a story. But yeah, so the book ends, and ever since then, we have gotten like there was a Dead Girl miniseries because basically it was like the idea that characters would always die, but there was a character in the book who couldn't die named Dead Girl. There was a miniseries around her. There was a miniseries set around Dupe, where like Dupe and Kitty Pryde went on an adventure that was really good. But there hasn't been like a mainline Ecstatics books in at least like 12, 13 years. So today, Giant Size Ecstatics came out from Pierre Milligan and Michael Allred, and evidently at the end of the book, they announced that Ecstatics will be coming back next year as a all-new series, all-new team, all by Pierre Milligan and Michael Allred, and the book will be called The Excellent. Which, when I heard the Excellent as like an X-Men book, I was like, how has that never been a name for an X-Men title? It's like too perfect.
It's especially with like most of the other things they don't have because it's astonishing. I can't remember all the ones that they used to use. Astonishing was like the main one because I always remember the Spider-Man ones more.
There was X Factor. There was
but I mean like the adjective like that they would use, like the astonishing X-Men, because there's like Spider-Man, spectacular, but like the other was like
there's like an amazing X-Men.
Yeah. I don't remember. But yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been like an excellent X-Men. Or like like you said, an excellent team.
But like I haven't read like this newest issue yet, but I'm looking at the cover. It looks like you have a couple new characters. But like Yuga Girl and Orphan, Mr. Sensitive are back. His name is Mr. Sensitive, by the way, because his power is that basically his like his like his pain receptors are turned up so high that like the moisture in the air feels like needles.
It's like not really a power.
So like the first time you see him in the book, it's him like playing Russian roulette like every day and seeing it's like if this is the day that he goes, and like Xavier comes to help him and it's like, hey, like I know this group, I have this suit that could be able to help you out. He ends up falling in love with Yugo Girl. It's super good. So yeah, you see Orphan and Yugo Girl and Dupe as returning members. You have this one guy like in the middle who looks like Zeitgeist, who was like in the very first issue, who dies at the end of the first issue. People would also know Zeitgeist because he shows up in Deadpool 2, and he's played by Bill Skarsgård. And he's the guy who vomits acid.
Yeah, it is. That is Zeitgeist. The article you have, it says that's who it is.
Oh, well, that's super funny. Because like he basically in the first issue, he's like machine gunned in half.
Yeah, it says
and he's also
like, led by the presumed dead, but then again, aren't they all Zeitgeist?
Yeah, so like Zeitgeist was also like dating Eddie, who's like Yugo Girl, and so now like you have like this, it looks like you have like some kind of love triangle between Zeitgeist and Orphan and Yugo Girl, and then you have these three new members in the back who I presume probably show up in the book that I will probably read tonight. But yeah, I am like so fucking excited for the return of the Ecstatics. Like, I think X-Men are at its best when it's weird and underground and it feels avant-garde, and that's I think Ecstatics to me is like one of the most perfect versions of the X-Men.
No, I definitely agree. Like the X-Men tend to work best when it's like these are a bunch of like fucking random people that have shit ass powers that like do wreck their lives. And when the weirder it is, sometimes it's like when it tends to be, it works the best. At least for me too.
Mm-hmm.
So, Oh no, that definitely is like super interesting. I remember we talked about this, and I love the artwork, so that is something I will have to check out, especially since I won't have to have read anything else. And I think that was our last news story, right?
Yes.
All right. Depending on if Ryan can hang around, did you want to talk about Gwen-pool for a minute or no?
I could do Gwen-pool before I head out.
All right.
Uh,
I guess so. You've been reading it. I have not read anything. You said before we started, so you've read all of her stuff.
Yeah, I read. There's like maybe 28 books in total. Like 25 as like a main run and like a few spin-offs. That's
So, like,
not. Yeah.
Can you just explain like what is Gwen-pool? Like, I obviously get that it's Gwen Stacy as Deadpool, but like,
It's not
It's
Gwen Stacy
actually
at
not
all.
that.
it's
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, her name is Gwendolyn Poole, Poole.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually like a quip in one of the books, like everyone thinks she's Gwen Stacy. Basically her character is she's basically like an outsider, like say she's like a regular person like us who like reads Marvel comics all the time and you just get dropped into the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
So like
she is specifically from our universe.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
Superboy Prime.
Yes, but like not crazy.
yeah, but yeah, she's not like she doesn't have any powers. She's not crazy or anything, but like she's basically a background character through like a lot of like the Marvel books too. Like basically, she just like decides she wants to be like a main character, so she just goes to like this tailor shop and get like a costume suit. Like that's basically her origin, and
So-
basically on her. Oh, sorry.
So she's like oh my god, what's the character in there's one in both companies, but like the one in DC was that one showed up in the background. Ambush Bug. She's kind of like that.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Because he kind of knows that he's in a comic book and is like always in the background and stuff.
Yeah, but like think of like she knows she's in a comic book, but like she knows everything. She knows like she's read every like Marvel book, so
Okay.
she knows like everything.
And because of that, she has like really good intel on like all these different people.
Yeah, like book 1 of Gwen-pool, she's just like she meets Black Cat on like a operation with like Hydra, and like as she's running away from like Black Cat, she just yells "Bye, Felicia" and just like dips, and like she's like, how does she know my name? And Black Cat ends up hiring like Howard the Duck to like track her down to like figure out like what's going on. And, like Gwen-pool's underneath the desk at Howard's office the entire time, just like eavesdropping. It's like later on. I don't know if anyone's gonna read it or not, but like spoilers.
It's so good. Like honestly, like if you are someone who's like a big fan of
These psyches.
like Morrison Animal Man, where it
Okay,
does like
you just sold
where
me.
it does like the story between the panels kind of thing. It does exactly that, and in a really cool way.
Yeah, as the book progresses, she becomes more like aware of like the universe and like more like non-caring because she basically assumes like everyone's a comic book character, so she just like starts gunning people down with like machine guns.
So her power is that she has like comic book knowledge.
Yeah, so
Oh yes,
so basically in the beginning of the book, or like one of the first arcs of the book, she ends up teaming up with MODOK and Batroc the Leaper, and
he's so good in that book. He's like
Batroc's great. And there's like this kind of like really fun idea where in Gwen-pool and in the Squirrel Girl book, where it's like these characters who befriend like these villainous characters, and like the idea that like how do I want to word this, that like you see me now as for how I am, but because like I might show up later in a different thing, like I'll be different and I can't be held accountable for like what I do there. And it's like this meta narrative of like, oh, like this character was written this way in this book, and that's why they're written differently in other books.
Oh,
If that like makes sense.
I get what you're saying. That's an interesting thing for them to address.
And so
Yeah.
yes, so in this first mission with Batroc and Gwen, they fight Jane Foster Thor, and and Thor's just like wrecking everyone, and Gwen's like trying to figure out like what to do, and she just yells out like Jane, and like and Thor like looks over and she grabs her and like throws her against the wall. She's like, "What did you say?" And she's like, "Pain. I have a pain in my leg." And then, like, because of that, like, Batroc is able to get away, and then they both get away.
Yeah, it was really funny during that that panel because like she's like trying to remember her identity and she's like, that was Natalie Portman, right? And she's just like trying to remember like the character she played.
That's funny.
But yeah, it's really funny. There was like a cutaway where she like needs to register so she can get a bank account because like MODOK has to pay her and like he can't find any information on her since she's from another universe. She contacts like Doctor Strange to help find her identity, and he's just like going through her memories, and he's like, Benedict Cumberbatch plays me in a movie.
Okay.
He's like, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Oh man.
But there's in like one of the middle books, they get kidnapped by what's his name? The one. He's like Arcade. His name is Arcade. Okay.
Yeah.
So they all get kidnapped by like Arcade, and like he's like doing this whole like mystery thing, and she just calls him out instantly, and he's like flabbergasted of how she knows, and like and while they're in the dungeon, like Deadpool shows up, and since they both have like that awareness that they're in a comic book, he's like, this is my comic book now, and they just like start fighting off the bat right there. So she uses logic against them, and like it works out. She's like, "You're in my book, and you're like a side character."
That's pretty good. You definitely sold me on this book.
Oh yeah, it gets really good at the end. Like the final arc is like really good, especially like the last book. It was awesome.
Yeah, and like and this kind of goes back to like what I was like, you know, talking about like earlier, where I or you know like over the last couple of weeks, where I feel like there's just like a glut of just really good DC books of like the last like 5 like I feel like starting with like Civil War 2, because I feel like that's like around the time where everyone just kind of like jumped ship. But I feel like there's like a ton of books around like that area where, you know, like your Power Man Iron Fist, your Patsy Walker Hellcats, your She-Hulks, your Gwen-pools, your Squirrel Girls, that people are gonna like rediscover years later and just be like, oh my god, these books are great. Like, why wasn't I reading these? Like Spider Woman.
Yeah, that's how I felt about Gwen, because like she's been out for a while now. I just decided to like pick it up one day, and I was just like reading through it, and it was like, this is
real
great.
Recent Marvel thing I've read, and I really liked it. And I fell off of it. Was the new Ms. Marvel?
Yeah,
and like I haven't read in like a decade, and then like the original iteration of this, we were going to like review her, and then so like I read like every Ms. Marvel thing that was on Marvel Unlimited. And I was like, oh my god, this character's awesome. Like, when did Marvel start doing this? And then I kind of fell off, and I don't know, it's just hard to find the time to, like, add books when I'm, like, subtracting books mostly.
sure. And I totally get that. But, you know, okay, so, like, there was a guy who I went to the shop recently, and he was, like, so incredibly incensed by, like, what happened with Wally West during Heroes in Crisis, that besides one book, he canceled all of his DC books. And it's like, because he was like, Wally West is my favorite character, and like I don't want to support a company that does Wally West that way. I'm like, I totally get you, because like there have been characters who I really love, in the past that they completely like did super dirty, and I feel bad, and I don't like this, but at the same time, it's like it's not even like something you can blame the writer for, because it's just like at the end of the day, it's like this was a corporately mandated story that needed to be told. Because it's like you read Heroes in Crisis and you read Mr. Miracle or like The Vision or Omega Men, it's like they're two completely different stories. Like you couldn't even like if you had a blind taste test, you probably couldn't even like put together that these are written by the same person. Because like one book is like so deep and the other one's so depth in like its take.
My reaction to that guy when like, man, imagine if you were a Roy fan. Like Roy gets done even dirtier. He didn't get to come back to life.
God,
he's just straight up dead.
That book was just like a train wreck. I couldn't even. It was so hard to read.
But it's funny because that's not even the worst thing that's happened to Roy Harper in the last 8 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Cry for Justice and Generation Law, or was it Generation Gun?
Is that the one where he has the dead cat?
Cry for Justice and The Rise of Arsenal, I feel like are the single, like both of them are like the biggest character assassinations for that character. That like even like when the New 52 happened and they gave him that baseball cap and they put him in Red Hood and the Outlaws, and that book sucks. But at the same time, it's like he's ruined. Like you did this character so dirty that he can't come back from it. But going back to this guy who's like, I'm canceling all my DC books. I'm like, I mean, like, there's the Young Animal line, there's the Sandman line, there's Wonder Comics, all done by like all these different creators. That's why, like, Marvel Comics and the guy who runs Marvel Comics, Ike Perlmutter, is like such a gross, disgusting guy, and like a lot of money that he gets from Marvel Comics goes towards really gross things. But at the same time, it's like there are people who work for these companies who do great work, who do good stories that I want to support, because I want, at least because we live in a capitalist society where your dollar is an actual vote towards like you want more of this content. So yeah, like Civil War 2 is a really bad story, but like Hellcat's great, and Spider-Woman's really good, and like and they are still producing like works that I think are like worth telling. And I think it's like kind of unfortunate when an event or like a story or like a person running a company like over-encompass like the hard good storytelling that is being told by like the people at the ground level. That's it. Sorry. Is everyone gone?
That'd be very interesting if you just did like a monologue.
Yeah.
Did they back out?
Oh, I don't know.
No, I see Lou in the chat. Lou, you still there?
Oh man, Alan's gone. How long has Alan been gone?
I don't even know. Oh, Lou's his internet dropped. He's coming back, I guess.
But by the way, the other side. I'm sorry. After coming off with that like really impassioned speech about people who work in the comic industry, the other side of coming out of their shells on the B side was Tubin.
Yeah.
So side A was Pizza Power, and side B was Tubin.
Tubin.
I assume is he coming back, or are they?
No,
gone?
I think he says we can close it out if we're done.
Okay, yeah, sure, we can do that. Did you want to like promote anything?
No, not really.
Okay, let me see if I can get this right.
Yeah.
So this podcast is part of the Los Haro Podcast Network, where there's a lot of other podcasts that are being hosted on here, including Legions of Tunes, which I don't think has been recorded yet. I think like the next episode is supposed to be Code Monkeys, which I watched like 5 episodes of. But I feel like I have the general gist of the entire show of why I didn't watch it in the first place.
Yeah.
That is understandable.
You can find me on Twitter at John JOHN _ FN _ Seiler SEILER, where I just talk about work stuff or problems within the comic book industry. If you want to ever see me like talk about unprofessionalism that at least I see, or like all the stuff I had, like all the stuff I did during Anime Expo, which I did like a fair amount of like really cool stuff that I'm gonna like try and like piece out over the next couple of days because I don't want to do like a big huge info drop.
All right. Ryan, did you go yet?
You can catch me on the Phantom Zone Facebook group for posts and updates on Doomsday Clock and other miscellaneous comic book related items.
Yeah, and like John said, Legion of Tunes. Me and Alan, who dipped out a little early, do Smallville Chronicles. We're taking a short break, and then we should be back really soon. And then listen to the main show if you're listening to this. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Hit the bell on YouTube. And tell some friends so more people can hear this. And maybe you too can become a guest. Yeah, and I think that just about does it. So, adios.
Remember, pizza power is what makes us feel all right.
And a half shell.
Oh, man.
Welcome to the Phantom Zone.
And now, comics.